Sonic Talk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sonic Talk, episode 570. What am I talking about? It's been a little bit delayed. You may have noticed we've not been around for a couple of weeks, and that's really because we had just network issues. There was week one, there were storms, and the network went down. And then week two, I thought it had been fixed, but the day before, it just dropped off again, and so that we've now got new lines in, and so everything should be all peachy. So thanks to the BT guy for fixing it. And I know they get a lot of flack, but actually it's been working for years and years and years, and I can't think of many other times this has happened. Maybe 4 times in, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. That's pretty good, I would say. That beats that's got to be 99.9 up availability. Anyway, this isn't all about network. This is the music podcast, the podcast that's on about music technology, which is synthesizers, software, music production, live production, all kinds of things, basically. And we're back, finally. I want to say thank you very much to iZotope. iZotope will be providing a prize a little bit later on. You can win a copy of the RX7 music production software, which is absolutely awesome, and that'll be coming up about halfway through. So once again, I want to say hello to our YouTube chatties and also to our IRC friends who've been back blazing through the characters. There must have been some kind of because they just haven't had the opportunity to do it recently, so now they're kind of making up for it now. So if you want to check it out, every Wednesday, generally, every Wednesday, 4 p.m, this is when we do the show. So thanks very much. Let's say hello to a few guests. We'll start with Mr. Richard Hilton over there in Connecticut. Rich Hilton, of course, live keyboards for Chic with Nile Rodgers, and also works at the studio. Sporting a very, I think that's a very stylish bit of man hair there. The beard suits you, Rich. How have you been? Are you well?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. And thanks for your kind words about the facial hair.
Yeah, so I saw a couple of things on Facebook when you were out on the road, I think, and I thought, yeah, that's looking good there. So,
Thank you.
Have you been out and around, or I mean, I guess we haven't seen you for a little while. So you've been on the road again?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of touring, and then now I've been home for a bit, and we'll resume touring in April and be gone for a while, and be coming around pretty much everybody here's local area at some point in the summertime. We'll be back in the UK by June and spend most of the summer in the UK and Europe, with an occasional foray to play at the Hollywood Bowl with the Los Angeles Philharmonic.
Oh, wow, that sounds good.
Yeah, on the Independence Day, we're going to play in Los Angeles at Hollywood Bowl. So lots of touring, lots of fun, great audiences, great times. We've been doing an arena tour in the United States with Cher, the legendary Cher, who can pack seats in an arena like you can't believe. Boy, does she sell tickets. And we have a good time every night. It's fun.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. That sounds absolutely awesome. And we also have another couple of guests. These guys have both been at the Thomann Synth Reactor event, which we're going to talk about a little bit, because it's something that sadly I couldn't make because I'm having work done on my house. And I felt if I'd left to have it done without being around, I think I probably would have been excommunicated. So that's my excuse. But we'll start with Div Kid Ben Wilson. I haven't seen you for a long time, Ben. I know you've been very busy, and you were out at the Thomann Synth Reactor thing as well as doing your own stuff. Have you now got loads of video to edit and put together, or are you did you do it all there?
Yeah. Well, we should, and I'm sure Gaz will mirror this. Shout out the team of people that were there. Lots of the people that were helping. They set up 3 studios in what I was told was Thomann's grandfather's old house. So they all looked like kind of Granny's old-fashioned living room that had, tens of thousands of pounds worth of camera equipment and rigging drilled into it and all sorts of kind of rigging to make it happen. The guys working there, I think, had been involved with Thomann's guitar event previously. Was super helpful. All live camera switching done for you, audio pre-mixed for you. They were great at just popping into shot without kind of distracting you too much and going, you've got 5 minutes left, because we all booked time within 1 hour slots. Very accommodating. The video, it doesn't look like it needs much editing, to be honest. There's quite a lot that, I may nip and tuck a little bit, but mainly for my own baffle, if you like. I totally ruined one video. He's in the chat room, actually. I invited Once Upon a Synth into a video and said, come on, let's just go play around with this Yamaha, the Reface DX with the D-Tronics expander. I thought, loads of knobs, FM, this could be fun. Pulled him in, said, come and join me for the hour, and just proceeded to cough like a maniac for about 50 minutes of the hour slot.
Oh, no.
That one might have some editing, but the crew, he said to me at the end, one of the guys said, I'm really sorry there's one cough on camera. And I was like, I coughed about 500 times. And he said, no, I was on it. So every time I kind of leant in to cough out of the way, he switched the camera super quick. So maybe they've rescued it.
Nice.
If they haven't, and it was just me at home, I'd have had to bin that off.
Wow,
So,
that is good.
Yeah, lots of video, really good experience.
Oh, excellent. Well, I suppose what we should
Lots of
really do, we should probably say what it was, shouldn't we? I mean, and say hello to Gaz Williams, a professional bass player, music technologist. The Thomann Synth Reactor thing, just to kind of rewind a little bit before you come in, essentially they invited a bunch of YouTubers to go to the Thomann HQ where and a bunch of manufacturers all together in sort of one big place where they were invited just to kind of make content. And by all accounts, and from what I've seen Cuckoo stuff there, and it looks like it actually went really well. So, Gaz, I guess that's a good point to bring you in and give your impressions of it, because it's an interesting new format, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us had experienced anything quite like it before, and there was a lot of manufacturers there as well. There was like a sort of triple teepee kind of structure, like a large tent structure that was. Something like that you'd find typically in a festival, and in there were lots of manufacturers. I mean, there was representatives from most of the major manufacturers there, and also I'm not sure who had brought them along, but there was lots of rare vintage synths there as well. And the premise was that we could basically do whatever we liked. We had access to 90,000 products in the the Thomann warehouse, effectively, or we could also engage with the manufacturer, the manufacturers who were there, and they brought all their latest and greatest stuff. Or we could use these vintage synths, or a combination of anything. And I think one of the things that was really encouraged was for different YouTubers to do collaborations together. So one of those has just gone live. I see that Once Upon a Synth is in the chat room. And Simon and Magpie and Bo Beats. So there's a bunch who were there are actually tuned in now. So big hello to them. Once Upon a Synth asked me if I would play some bass guitar through a Moog One, which is cool, through the audio input. And he manipulated the sounds and explored what you could do with the audio input. And I really, really enjoyed that, typically. But this idea of cooperation and collaboration really put some fears that I had of it being like a kind of exploitational marketing. It was.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A marketing tool for Thomann and for the brands to get involved. But the way it felt and the way actually it turned out to be, it was just really it's a huge loads of fun, and we were treated so well. And honestly, big thank you to everybody involved in the organisation, because we really were treated incredibly well. And but on the YouTuber front, all these YouTubers, I've got a bit of a crusty old channel, really. I don't really keep a YouTube channel. I was probably there because of my appearances on Sonic rather than anything to do with my channel. Because I was thinking, if everybody was like looking through the different channels to see who was the
when they were totting it up at the end of the day, when the accountants get hold of it. Yeah, right. Views versus cost.
I'd be right at the bottom, like totally at the bottom. So actually, thank you, Nick, for
Well, I must admit, I feel I was watching it and I was thinking, oh God, I wish I could have been there. I really, I kind of really wish I'd. But when Tom asked me, it was kind of like, I don't think I'm going to have time. And as it turned out, it was literally because the roof is coming off my house and all this other stuff's been done. If I'd been away, it would have been I would be a very bad parent. But so it sounds like a lot of fun, and everything was. I mean, maybe next year if they're doing it, and I might get an invite. I'd certainly like to try and get along there. But it's an interesting concept. I mean, in some ways, the idea of doing it like that. I mean, it's like an exclusive VIP trade show type of vibe, which could have gone either way, couldn't it? Like you said, it could have been felt a little bit like corporate and a little bit felt a little bit marketing, but it seemed to come off really well.
It did come off well, and I pushed something there just out of interest. I managed to get, I got Luke from Korg, and I got David from Roland, Jackson from Modal, and Enrico from IK Multimedia to all join me in one of the studio rooms. This hasn't gone up yet. This will be up short, probably maybe early next week. And I took the Noodler along, which is this weird little MIDI sort of note generator thing, and sort of and they all brought along a synthesizer that was suitable for the roles, the Noodler outputs, like a drone channel, a pad channel, and 2 arpeggiator channels. So we ended up using the Prologue for the pad to the chord channel, and the Roland, David brought the SEO2, which really sounds fantastic, and Jackson brought the diminutive little Craft 2 synth, which is also awesome thing, and Enrico brought the Uno synth, again excellent sounding synths, and whoops, I just proceeded to sort of and I was controlling the notes, so all they were doing was manipulating the sounds, and I was just spewing out all sorts of notes at them, and it just turned into this really demonic sort of carnival descending into the bowels of hell as they all were desperately trying to sort of make it sound nice. And, whoops. So that'll be out shortly. But Luke seemed to think that was the first time that a cross-brand thing had ever happened at an event. So I was really pleased about that. I thought that was actually very much in the spirit of the, which felt like it was breaking down these kind of corporate sort of barriers, typically at like a NAMM or, even at Superbooth, everybody is in their sort of separate sort of sections, but
there's a lot more collaboration. There is collaboration, but I know what you're saying. I mean, that major brand certainly working like that. It's not often. It's usually an event in itself. It's kind of collaborating with Roland, Serato, or whatever. It's a big deal, right?
We're just getting Korg and Roland together. I thought was groundbreaking. Unfortunately, the crazy psychedelic mishmash of noise that I made them play through, it's maybe not quite as glorious, but no, it was good. It was really fun. So watch out for that. I've only done a few videos. I've made some with Electron as well, because Cenk and S were both there, so watch out for. And actually, I'm going to put an appeal out for subscribers as well, please, just so I
can go next year.
So I don't look so. Yes, so I can go next year.
Excellent. That sounds like fun. I mean, it does sound like a good. And music was very much at the heart of it. I guess a lot. And Thomann have got a new synth channel out, so I'm guessing they're probably going to be pushing a lot of that stuff out there. But yeah, I will no doubt be featuring some of their stuff as it arrives, and you will too. So, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, well let's get on to something. I'm going to go to let's go to is it this one? No, it's not that one. It's not that one either. I'm going to find it here. Hold on a second. It was Rich. You found this one. This was the Blue Cat re-guitar thing, which looked quite interesting. I'm going to rewind it here and see what happens.
Introducing the new Blue Cat Audio re-guitar plugin. Re-guitar is a plugin that allows you to take the electric guitar input of either humbucker or single coil pickups and transform them into another type of pickup or an entirely different guitar. Have a humbucker guitar but need a bit of telly twang? What about a single coil Strat style but need more of a mellow jazz box?
Right. As I am famously always saying, I won't play all of this, but it's kind of the concept is quite simple, but I don't think I've never seen it. I mean, we've seen it done with kind of Line 6, where it's more of a modelling guitar, but this is a very different sort of thing. It's more forensic, isn't it? And you were quite blown away by this, right?
I am blown away by it, and I haven't played so much guitar in a long time because I can't stop playing. I love the sound of the thing, and it's so versatile. And I'm having so much fun. It sounds great. It works great. And in combination with his Axiom amp modeling, pedal modeling system, it's awesome. It does remarkable things at the push of a button. And once you get it set up, and the Axiom product includes his delay, which is called Late Replies, and that's also really, really cool. And,
is it something that you think would work? I mean, is it something that you might use in a recording session where somebody's like, I just don't have the right guitar, we're looking for more like this, maybe we can plug that in? I mean, or is it more of a sort of demo type material?
I already have.
Oh, right.
Used
cool.
it. No, there's no reason why not to use it. It sounds great. And you have a tremendous variety of tones available. And furthermore, you can apply them after the fact. You could basically record the guitar DI and just sit there and dial tones all day until you find the one you like, if that's how you want to work. I prefer to find the tone and play it.
Yeah.
But you have the option of going back at it afterwards.
Yeah, it sounds like, Gaz, it sounds like one for a bass would be quite useful. You could get your music.
He's got bass models.
Has he?
Bass models in the Axiom. Axiom. I don't know about in Reguitar, but Axiom has a bunch of bass features.
Oh, that's interesting. I noticed because you were playing. What were you playing? Was it a Music Master you were playing at, or a G&L you were playing at?
No, it was the latest model of the Music Man Stingray, and really Bernard Edwards. I've been listening. Well, we've got obviously Mr. Hilton here, but I sort of had an epiphany recently that I'd always wanted to try to get somewhere close to that Bernard Edwards sound. And I mean, you can see behind me here, I've got a ton of basses. I've got 12 basses, and but I have never owned a Stingray. And I was sitting outside a restaurant, and I think I Want Your Love. No, what was it? I can't remember. But it was a great Bernard Edwards bass line came on, and the sort of the poke, the absolute funky poke of the notes, and I was thinking. So I came back and I was just trying all my basses to do it. I got the G&L, which has kind of got similar looking pickups, but my epiphany was the fact that where the pickup placement on the Music Man is in a very specific place, which is if you do harmonics, it's positioned underneath the fifth rather than underneath where would be the root of the harmonic series. I do this in the video actually with Once Upon a Synth, but I realized that none of my basses did it, so I had a legitimate reason to justify a 13th bass. Yes.
Have you? Did you get a Thomann discount, Gaz?
Well, I haven't. I maybe get maybe.
It's worth a thought, eh?
Boy, it's got quiet in here.
I do. I mean, I've got the gas badly. I also got to play that bass on. Me and Ben, can I just tell a quick story, just going off topic? It's quite funny, but Ben is a great drummer, and Ben being Div Kid, I should just hasten to add. And I went looking, if we wanted to do some playing with kit and bass and get some synthesizer action over the top, and so I went round hunting, like Ben said, there's got to be a kit somewhere. So I went off looking around the store to see if I could find a drum kit somewhere we could set up to do this thing. I found my way into the little PA department, which has got this ridiculous kind of stage with all the lights, the massive amount of lights. It's basically a showroom for lights and PA equipment. And so managed to sort of arrange that. And I went and found Ben and said, you got to come and look at this. I think this might be, I don't know, see what you think. Then we go in it's like an arena sort of stage setup with you go, will this do? But it was a bit of a cheese trap in the end, though. I wanted to do something really cool with sort of like bass and drums and some really, and a couple of the guys to come and play some synths over the top. But there was something happened, and all the loads of Thomann sort of musos all turned up. I think word got out that it was a jam going on, and then it was all right. But I wanted to do something sort of cool and arty and synth sort of. But it did descend into a 12-bar blues at one point, which I was like, no.
Oh well.
Anyways, some of that stuff's going to come up, but it was just really awesome to play with Ben. So that was anyway, sorry, that was it.
Ben,
but back.
I was just saying, I'd almost forgotten the idea of the sort of modelling side of it. I mean, it's harder on basses, I guess, because you've got that waveform cycle thing going on, which is, I don't know whether it has the same limitations, whatever technique they're using to do this.
Right, I'd be very interested to try. Sorry.
Sorry, Gaz. I thought you were coming to me then, Nick, to say, Ben, tell Gaz why he needs to buy the 13th bass.
Oh, okay.
You did sound great on a Stingray, Gaz. I'll just throw that out there.
Excellent.
Oh,
Well, there
thanks.
we go.
I felt at home. I felt I'm home. In fact, I really thought, wow. So I gassing badly.
This kind of, but the modelling,
but
the modelling concept, it's an interesting one, and I think just
It
the fact
is.
that you can impose these models on it. I mean, it's not a new thing, but I guess maybe it's the way they've
No.
done it.
But I mean, the thing with bass and playing through an amp, though, is as much to do with the actual physical sensation. So anything that I've tried, which either coming out of studio monitors or on headphones, you kind of do lack the physicality of the amplifier. The air being moved, you feel the vibrations, and without that physical relationship, it's always feels slightly academic what's coming out, because so could try using a sub pack, something like that, to try and put some of that back in.
Servo controlled
It's quite
hairdryer, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. But I'm certainly very interested to try anything in this. I'm very interested in this. So and if Rich is into it, then I've got to take this seriously.
That's a fair point.
So it is out now then?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Do we know?
It's
Yes,
well, it's
available.
99. Yeah, it's not. It's currently at $69 until until it's not, and then it'll be 99. So it's not expensive. But I guess the thing is with stuff like this, I wonder what you could probably put synth through it. I wonder what it would do. If you put mono stuff through it or any kind of stuff, that would be kind of interesting. But impose some sort of.
Yeah, definitely. And I know as a player, it's the experience of the instrument, as Gaz said. Playing. And it's hard to decouple the actual instrument itself, but playing a Telecaster or a Strat or a Les Paul, they obviously all feel different as instruments anyway. But it's so responsive in terms of the sound and how you hear the sound live and how it's manipulated as well and how it feels as the whole experience, not just the physicality of the instrument in front of you. But one thing that was interesting on the bottom of that, it does mention if you do not play guitar but you're producing music with guitars, you'll enjoy re-guitaring as a sort of re-amping play on words, if you like. I find that kind of fascinating. There must be so many people in positions where they just record it with the guitar they have. And maybe I think it will be interesting before amp modeling. So if you were DIing the guitar and you had this and then some kind of amp modeling software, I wonder how responsive to changes it would be in the same way a real amp would be, with a different thing feeding it upstream. But you're right.
Thumbs up from Rich there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that just for guitar, that's really interesting. But also for synths, if I can make saying something's fat is always a little bit ridiculous. Fattest modular bass I can think of, but I make that the humbucker fattest version of a synth ever. Will it be bigger in the same way that a humbucker is bigger than a single coil generally, tonally? It's interesting. I love running things through convolution, which this is at least running in parallel in my mind to, convolution of rack gear or other bits of processing. It's interesting. It mentions that you can change the tone and volume pots as well. And the passive volume control on a guitar affects the tone and not just the volume. So it's different to just say automating your kind of mix level in a DAW. I wonder if that's kind of musically rewarding. I do like it when things fade in and out with a tonal change. I like a soft roll off of treble as volume gets quieter, which is the kind of low pass gate thing you get in a Buchla on a synth, but it's also how sound works in the real world. If it's further away, there's less top end generally. So I wonder if it's going to be a really interesting kind of tool for experimenting with non-guitars.
Yeah.
How different will a drum beat through it be? Will it sound like a pickup and have that kind of quality, or will it just be the difference between? Do you have to select what it was recorded with and then it simulates?
I don't know. Rich probably will answer that.
I'm wondering, do you have to say this was a single coil Oh, it does, yeah.
Oh, you tell it
There's
where
a
you
problem
start.
to select input pickup style and an output pickup style, and then you can
Yes.
select a body type, a body thickness. There's an acoustic model as well, but it's mostly centered around electric models.
It's
And
perfect
there's
for
also the
exploiting.
ability to put body thickness on the sound, which is an interesting
Ooh.
aspect to it as well.
Can you go really crazy? Do you remember there were some of those? I think the Roland V piano. Do you remember that when you could make it sort of 200 feet long, and you could go really out of this world? Can you make an acoustic guitar that would be impossible to play because you couldn't get your arms?
I haven't gone that deeply into the acoustic model yet, so I can't answer that. But
Okay, be
I've been
interesting
playing
then.
electric models like crazy.
Well,
And I did fatten up a jazz guitar to play from my Telecaster, and yeah, it sounds great. It's really, and it's totally, and I feel connected to address Ben's very reasonable concerns. I did feel connected to the sound while I played it on a Telecaster neck. It didn't feel weird to
Interesting.
me, and I didn't sense a delay or any sort of unnatural feeling to it. It felt like that's what I was playing sounded like. And
I wonder if this heralds.
I liked.
I wonder if this is heralding a kind of because we get these paradigm shifts, don't they? As DSP sort of. The capacity, or somebody makes some breakthrough with code, particularly with convolution. Are we going to get to the stage where it's almost like I've only got, a really crappy mono synth, for instance, or, in my mind, I'm going to make it sound, so we just feed it through something that kind of beefs up the oscillator and changes the essential sound characteristics. Maybe we're on the brink of that if that's not already available. That would be kind of something that's kind of interesting.
Sounds like soft tube modular to me.
Yeah, kind of.
You can imagine modular heads imploding if the from and the to pickup becomes input synth and output synth. I'll make my more plasticky SH101 sound like a mini mug from the from and the to section.
Isn't Persing doing
thought.
something like that with Omnisphere now? Or is that just interfacing?
That's
with
just
the
interfacing,
hardware?
really. Yeah, that's not
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a similar concept. It's an interesting idea, though. Available. You go to Blue Cat Audio, check the products out, and I just thought we'd mention that one because it's kind of fun. I guess actually we should probably say have a quick word from our friends over at Isotope. So I'll just hit that now, and we can have the competition. You can learn a little bit about RX.
RX continues to be the industry standard and leader in audio repair for music and post-production. And with RX-7, we've introduced groundbreaking new ways to quickly and easily fix and manipulate audio. Take the game-changing Repair Assistant, an intelligent helper that can detect noise, clipping, clicks, hum, and more. Also new in RX-7 is Music Rebalance, a powerful source separation tool. Drums too loud? Vocals not loud enough? Let's fix that. You can also create instrumental versions of songs by removing the vocal elements. You can now alter the pitch without affecting the timing of your audio, and conversely, alter the time without affecting the pitch with the new variable time and variable pitch modules. Using the new dialogue contour, you can improve the performance of a line or even create a new performance by altering the pitch contour of the dialogue, therefore adjusting the intonation of the speaker, and introducing Dialogue Dereverb, a module powered by machine learning to reduce the presence of reverberations around dialogue. RX-7, a new frontier in audio repair.
And if you want to check that out, head over to isotope.com and you can download a demo as ever. And we've got a competition winner from last time. I was going to say last week, but it's not really last week. We were looking for the hashtag mixed deconstruction. It's the Twitter user Richard Billingham, whose handle is something I can't possibly pronounce, at LD3OSPH3R3. It's not something you can pronounce. But if you want to get in touch, Richard Billingham, you have won. And if you want to maybe win next time, we're giving away, or Isotope are giving away, another copy of RX-7. We're looking for the hashtag edit and repair audio. That's all one word. And the hashtag RX-7 to @SonicState and @Isotope Inc. That's the hashtag edit and repair audio, one word. The hashtag RX-7 to @SonicState and @Isotope Inc. We thank them for providing the prize. It's been a wonder. So, okay, I'm wondering where to go next. Let's have a look. This was kind of interesting. Did I have that? Oh man, I think I haven't posted up. Let me put this window up because this is a bit more synthy. Obviously, Native Instruments have been going on about their Massive X for a while, which is now they trailed it as part of the Complete 12. So if you buy that, you're going to get it, but you were supposed to get it in February, but actually it's now looking like June, and they've been posting sort of GUI updates. And this is what we've been. There's a news, and lots of people have been kind of riffing on that, and it's very different to the original Massive. And Massive, of course, is kind of. It's almost like a best. It defined a whole series of sound really, because Native Instruments software and samples they have a certain beef to them. They sound really massive, and Massive itself was a huge sounding synthesizer. It is the huge sounding synthesizer. Massive X is kind of taking that and running with it. They're not getting rid of Massive, but Massive X is going to be kind of massive. But Exa, whatever that may be. I know, Ben, I'm going to come to you first because I mean, Massive. It's almost like you make drum and bass. Oh, do you use Massive? It's almost that, isn't it? It's that and output, isn't it? You know, those are the two things you have to have if you're going to be doing that genre because it just seems to fill the void. So this is quite bold to make such a big change by Native Instruments.
Yeah, I think so. And some of the team behind this, one of the developers, was at the Synth Reactor event. And unfortunately, it wasn't something they could show in the tent. There's, NDAs in place for showing this kind of thing and strict release dates and so on. And I missed my chance because they left a little bit early to get any kind of pre-interview with them. But what I did want to say, I'm glad it's come up so I can say it here, Knife Party, which is a duo from Rob Schweier from Pendulum, kind of live drum and bass band. They released an EP called No Modern Talking. And Modern Talking was a wavetable in Massive. That's how much it defined the kind of new UK-based dubstep, moving into drum and bass kind of thing. That Modern Talking wavetable, just an LFO to wavetable making these talky bass sounds, was a whole thing for about 18 months within kind of, as you say, drum and bass, electro, dubstep. I don't think any other synth has done that and had such an impact. Well, soft synth specifically, and a specific wavetable even for a huge group to have. It's almost like the No Saw Wave EP. It's kind of a funny statement. But I'm interested to hear it, having heard since they've developed since then and going back to the original Massive. I used Massive on quite a lot of media library work, really great synth, and really enjoyed it as well. There was a few things that I felt I couldn't always route where I wanted. As I got into hardware modular and maybe learned a bit more about synthesis than I used to know, but it's interesting. I like the new look. I like the look of it. It seems inviting. The modulation seems more open. I think it's the world's first delay, attack, hold, decay, sustain, hold, release envelope I've ever seen. They've basically put a hold stage before every other normal ADSR
okay.
stage.
AHD. It sounds like some sort of disorder. AHD-SHR. I've got a touch of that.
With a delay before the start of it as well. So it's interesting. Great for any kind of modelling of drum sounds where, just a slight delay. You think about hitting a snare drum, the springs don't excite the exact millisecond that the stick hits the drum, and, for getting really kind of deep into that detailed sound design, I think it would be good. We know their stuff sounds great.
It's got a look. It's got a little look of Reactor/Blocks about it, hasn't it? It's sort of...
And it isn't everything, of course. We should go by the sound and how it fits into mixes and things like that. But I don't know what the little gorilla's doing on the oscillator section. I like that it looks like there's a white panel in the noise section with the rain symbol and the water. And it just seems to bring, I don't know, it looks simple enough to use with enough little visual cues to make things nice and simple. I like that they've hidden away the modulation in the middle, that black strip there with, I presume E1, E2, L3 is LFOs and envelopes, and it's nice that everything isn't just glaring at you on screen.
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me, it's a bit Pigments vibe, isn't it? The Pigments that sort of does that, has that centre strip where all the modulations are going on. That's kind of an interest. As we often see, you get these kind of innovations in GUI and software that then sort of fan off and become adapted and and changed, but it starts to become the language of a GUI that we all then use in other applications. So I mean, it's all good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Rich, are you a complete kind of user guy? I mean, I guess it's the sort of thing that working in modern production is the sort of thing you got to have lying around. So you've got everything. I know you're a big fan of a lot of contact libraries and stuff. I mean, do you use the actual instruments, the software instruments themselves as well?
Yes, quite often, and I like them. I like having them, and I like using them. I don't have complete 12. I'm incomplete at the moment. I'm at least a complete or two behind now. But I do love using their stuff and all of it. And oddly enough, one of my favorites is their FM synth. I quite like the FM synth a lot, and I like using it and particularly distorting it in interesting ways. I do use Massive. I do use Absynth. I do use Reactor and love Monarch quite a bit.
Yeah, Monarch's lovely, actually. That's a Reactor ensemble, isn't it? A Monarch, basically.
Yeah, it's a Reactor mini mode, basically, and it's awesome.
It is.
It's really, I suppose good. It's got tremendous attack.
Yeah. I wonder if they make, because the thing, whenever I'm faced with Massive, I start with an init patch, and I usually just get the raw sound, but it's because of the complexity that you can achieve with software synthesis. I quite often turn off a little bit. Oops, that's my builder that's probably telling me the roof's falling. I suppose I ought to get that. Gaz, if you'd just like to take over a second, I'm going to get there.
Okay. Well, I missed the opportunity, like Ben at Synth Reactor, to have a look at this, and I'm kicking myself now because I was really excited about it. I think it's quite interesting. It's clearly been influenced by their own product range with the Reactor blocks. It's something I'm sure that many people will have noticed. And I think it's quite interesting how you can go in. I'm just looking at some of the things on it now. That if you click on the routing tab at the bottom, you open up ostensibly a like a modular. It looks a bit like a Max MSP thing or a PD patch. But I think they're kind of trying to find this balance between like a clear and detailed, easy interface, but with the super depth should you wish to go further into it. It looks like all the modules are switchable out, and I'm guessing it's going to come with an absolute. I mean, this is all utterly speculation on my part. I'm feeling awfully playing catch up at the moment. Still been in recovery from the last week, but I really like the look of it, and something I'm quite interested to see. And not, it looks. I mean, I'm going by the visual of it. It looks like the interface is going to be scalable, and hopefully, will scale nice to
I think that's a really big
screens deal. And I think this is going to be a thing now going forward that the graphics, like some plugins, I've got a big 4K screen in front of me here, and some plugins that if I'm running in 4K, some plugins are tiny.
Yeah.
So,
that's always a bit of a drag.
Also appreciate. Yeah, but I appreciate for plugin manufacturers that to reskin their software so it is vectors and can scale to.
It's a lot of work.
Resolution.
I mean, it's a really big
lot
deal.
Of work.
So I've just an update there. Apparently, it's going to be quite dusty when I get home, which is not what I was hoping for. But there we go. I mean, the point I was trying to make is, there comes a point, and we discovered this when we were looking at Omnisphere a couple of versions back. We started to look at it, and it was so complex and so dense that there's a sort of like, oh man, I kind of tend to glaze. So it's quite, you've got to getting the GUI right and getting the speed right, but getting the density and the depth of it. There's almost, I'm talking about patch design. I mean, it's almost, if you're designing patches, you want all of that. But if you're using it and you just want to quickly get stuff, then you want some simplification. But you don't. Your notion of simplification is not going to be what somebody else's is. So it's quite a difficult line to tread, I think, in terms of users. I mean, that's what I like with Rich. I mean, Monarch is nice and simple. But the sound interface, when you get something like Massive, even, I'm not sure about Massive X, but Massive or Pigments, any of these kind of large scale soft synthesizers, sometimes it's just sort of like, whoa, actually, maybe I'll find a piece of hardware I could use or something simpler. I want to get there quickly, Maybe. Okay. Maybe that's just me.
But there's Robin Moulton Music Technology who was at Synth Reactor as well, has just commented that a Massive X is developed by the same people who did the original. So although it borrows a look, he thinks it's a different engine to Reactor. So that's quite interesting.
Right.
So,
Well, okay, that'll be an interesting. But yeah, it was scheduled for February. I think now they're saying June. And if you had bought Complete 12, you'll get it as a sort of freebie as part of the Complete 12. So
it's interesting. They can't afford to get this wrong. Massive has been such a kind of incredible, powerful part of Native's kind of history that to go to this new version, it has to be right. There's such a lot riding on it. So I think it's going to be mind blowing, and I'm convinced about that. And I think good on them for sort of delaying the release until it's right. I think
absolutely
important that they do that.
And I'm sure there'll be more teasers and whatnot. And we've got a kind of variety of topics left. I mean, we're kind of running into the last 20 minutes or so of this. Is there anything that anybody feels particularly they would like to visit, rather than me just pick it randomly? I'm going to open it to the floor, though. Is there anything that anybody has anything specific they want to pick from the topic list, or they've prepared for, that they want to have their say? Or, like me, are you just winging it?
I'm totally winging it.
I wanted to shout out the Open Source magazine.
Okay.
Open Source, the new print journal for synthesists. James Siegler, great musician, modular performer, did some demos years ago that got a lot of, I'd say, me and my friends into modular, and has done some great videos since put me onto this, saying that they're doing a magazine. Now, there is also a Waveform magazine, which you go in kind of the tape-op route, free print magazine supported by advertising. This is quite different in that it's available from modular shops.
It's premium, isn't it?
A kind of journal for synthesists, I think the title of the post was. And just to kind of say, good on them for doing a magazine about something smaller, and it's a bit of a harder sell. It's not a wider music tech magazine. I don't know who's behind it, if they've any experience in it, but from what I've seen, it looks very good, and they're covering some interesting things, and the people that are in there look great. So I just wanted to kind of shout it out.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting idea, isn't it? It's like I think it's $30 or $28. So it's sort of, I think it's a premium print product. It comes with an SD card, with software and music. I think Robert Rich has featured at this, and the making of Black Noir, which is the endorphins, the industrial design, and decibel loudness defined. So it's specialised. I mean, it's a brave thing to do, because obviously print is not something that one feels is perhaps on the up. It's the sort of thing that's been. So the idea of it's almost like boutique print, so it's a coffee table thing, is an interesting idea. And I know, because in the States, I mean, the print, the specialized niche print magazine industry has really been decimated, hasn't it? So it's kind of. Do you still get any magazines of any description, Rich? I mean, is that something that, because it used to be a really big deal in America because of
I try not to, but I do. I can't seem to make pro sound news stop as much as I've tried. But I have already ordered my copy of this. Okay. Had to look to find it, because apparently they've only printed 200. There's a limited number of outlets worldwide from which you can order the thing, and I ended up having to order mine from the west coast of the U.S. because the place closest to me didn't have one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so they're selling, apparently. And they refer to it more as almost like an art magazine. It's an interesting way they describe it. And again, they give you 4 gigabytes full of content, or, a 4 gigabyte SD card with content on it anyway. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, just have a look. It contains Open Source Records, Ritual Time, an album by Maurice Jackson, Black Noir, an album from Principal Una. And also, so I mean, original patches, Dark Waves for so it is very special. I mean, good luck to them, and I hope it works out. I think they're going every 6 months or every quarter. I think it depends on how well it goes, because I mean, it's not. I mean, 200 copies at $30 is still only $6,000. It's not like a massive amount of turnover. They're all going to be retiring on their yachts or anything. It's so. Yeah, good for them. But yes, you have to work hard to find it, as you said, Rich. It's not the sort of thing that just sort of you can pop in from the shop.
On a print tip, though, I mean, books still seem to be a valid thing. And Kim Bjorn was at the event at the weekend and last week, and he was he just announced his latest, I think his third book in this range. With his Patch and Tweak and Push Turn Move, his new one, which is focused on pedals, called Pedal Crush. It's not out yet, but I think I think that's going to be surfacing sometime this year. But I mean, those books are beautifully made. I mean, I'm sure many of the listeners here will have encountered them so far, and they're just gloriously put together. And actually, when I was leafing through one the other day, and I was thinking how it is really important that people still do make books. These are much more long-lasting objects than
it's say, true, but it's so difficult. I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember you buy the keyboard player. There would I remember getting something for Christmas from my parents that basically as soon as I got it, there was already stuff that wasn't in there because technology moves so fast. So it's the sort of thing that's quite difficult to pick. What you put in it is quite relevant. So you don't put the newest stuff, but you put classic things and things that would have a bit of longevity, right?
There was another Rob Pappen, actually, when his book is more or less just sold out. He'd written a book in 2012, and he brought some copies along, and I was thrilled. He presented me one on the final day. This was after we'd done our roundtable discussion about patch design. And whereas what you're saying is true, Rob's book, as an example, though, is just dealing in classic subtractive synthesis techniques, and I haven't really got stuck in totally yet, but just sort of just leafing through it. I was thinking how I wished that I had that book years and years and years ago, and it is tempting to sort of think that, or it is. Books do seem to be this thing that feel in some ways like they are locked in time, but that can be a good thing as well, can't it? They are.
I agree. I mean, I think technical manuals and that side of stuff, it's just we're so used. I mean, now I've spent all this time recently working on. I've got my new Raspberry Pi model, which has got a tiny little screen on it, and it all does all these sort of clever things. So every single day, cool. I've been trying to fix stuff. And I just, it's you just search on Google. It's like, how do I do that? Click, and then off it goes. So
what's that? So that's a case that comes with the screen built in. It's
like 20 quid. Touchscreen. It's got a touchscreen on it, but it's terrible. It's all inverted, and I haven't figured out how to fix that yet. That's the one thing I haven't sussed out. But it's useful. This is all part of our show production system. But I mean, that's another story. Speaking of shows, actually, I should mention, of course, that the Synthplex is on at the end of next week. If you're in the US, the Burbank, I know a few of I know Matt. I think Matt Hudson's going to go over and play. I think tickets are still available. Cool. You just want to head over to. I'm trying to remember where it was. I think it was at. I think the discount's gone, but if you go to bit.ly/Synthplex20. Then that'll take you to the tickets, and you can still buy tickets for that. And they've got just had Junkie XL show up. He's going to do one of the keynotes, and Thomas Dolby's going to be there. So it should be kind of fun. Did I come to you, Ben? I'm sorry, I've lost track a little bit. I'm a bit out of practice.
It was brought the book up.
It was you that brought the book, of course.
Yeah, it's the magazine or art journal, and then Kim Bjorn's book. Is Kickstartering soon, I believe. And if I can be a bit cheeky and get a little Kickstarter plug-in, because I think it looks really cool, and I'll be totally straight about this. I saw this. I've never worked with Plankton Electronics, but their new device, Spice, looks really good. And I messaged Alex just before heading off for the weekend. It's on Kickstarter now, Plankton Electronics Spice. And I just said, look, let's forget about any element of really working together. Can you send me this thing so I can make a bit of video just to help the campaign? And because I really want one in the end. And I've had great Kickstarter experiences. I know some haven't. And I've got it here. It arrived kind of 20 minutes before this. So I guess it's a little bit like an analog heat kind of vibe,
okay.
But you've got He's got the Korg New Tube technology in it, which I've not really
that's
seen
interesting.
anyone implement yet. So it's like the analog heat. There's several analog distortion styles. It's got a digital, bit crush, decimate section, high pass, low pass filters, an envelope follower that you can reroute back to anything else. You can kind of fake a compressor. There's CV in for everything. There's an in and out for each section, which I thought was cool. So if you wanted to go filter before drive or drive after filter, and it just looks really cool. This is a prototype they've sent, and I just said, send me it. I'll get a video up before the campaign ends, and hope it's successful and send it back. And that's as far as it's gone. But I genuinely do just really want to see it succeed. I think for people, with modular that can CV it, great, but putting it next to Volkers and pocket operators and bringing in some nice process into that world, I think would be really exciting.
Cool.
So I wanted to give it a shout. That was all.
And so you have. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get news about when it's live, and we'll stick a story up there, and that'll all be cool. Let's see what else have we got here. Oh yeah, did anyone see this? This is the thing that Tim Exile's been working on for a really long time.
Hooray!
This is Endless, and it's the kind of new collaborative app. It does look like a bit kind of mad texting's going on there, doesn't it? It's looks better from above than it does from in front. So you sort of get the idea. It could go into. I don't know what the limitation. I mean, it's still beta, but it's an interesting concept. And I suppose you could perhaps do this live in terms of in the same room. You wouldn't necessarily have to be remotely remote. But I wonder how engaging it is, because obviously you're seeing them both together, but they're actually both separate. It's an interesting concept. I know, Rich. We've how many times have we gone through these technologies where it's like online collaboration? There was the Cubase thing. I forgot what it's called. There's Rocket Network. It never quite kind of came to the fruition where you just thought, yeah, that's this notion of remote working because of the latency. But I guess if you're looping, this is something that takes it a little bit of a different tack on it. And as we know, Tim is a very, very smart guy and has been thinking about it a long time.
Well, it is the collaborative nature of this thing that strikes me as the most unique aspect of it, and the real time looking vibe that they've created in that video. And if it does actually do that, I can't think of anything else that does. Until they got to the collaborative aspect, it reminded me a lot of the Roly app Noise, which interacts with blocks in a very similar sort of way and allows you to do those kinds of sequencing tricks right there on the hardware. Although it looks to me like he might be operating this thing on his phone.
Yeah, definitely.
But that software also operates on the phone, and so up to the point where she overdubbed that voice, it was all looking kind of familiar to me. And then I went, "Whoa, hang on a second." So I don't know how people are doing with that. Like, for example, Ableton released their collaborative environment sometime a year or two ago, and I haven't used it, but I don't know anybody who is, and I'm sure there are lots of people who are. So I'd be interested to know how that's caught on and how many people are using it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's like, just because it's not there doesn't necessarily mean it should be, I suppose. The fact sometimes with technology we can make things that we think we need, but perhaps we don't, and somebody makes it and you go, "Wow, it was all right." But I mean, I don't know. With Tim,
sometimes things also take a really long time to catch on. I would give you as an example of this text messaging, which existed in cellular phone world for like a decade before everybody decided that they loved it and started using it.
True.
And there's been a bunch of other features that or products that took a while before they really caught on. And sometimes a company will stick with a product and sometimes they won't. And when they do, sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't. I'm kind of interested in Isotope's Spire product tangentially on this same level. I'm interested to see.
Well, maybe if
it
it integrated, imagine if it could integrate, so you could use the audio interface, and yeah, that would be kind of cool. And maybe that's something that would happen.
Which this thing
Spire with this, that would make sense. Yeah.
Oh well, that's interesting too. But even just Spire on its own does some interesting collaborative things between the hardware and your phone that nothing else that I know of does. And I'm interested to see that germinate in the marketplace. Like I'm interested to see how this thing spurs other development in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, I get your point. Done. Well, Gaz, I'll come to you because you did a thing with Tim, and he was sort of alluding to working on things then, wasn't he?
That's right.
And so that was a couple of years ago, and it was this.
Yeah, and I was shown an early version of this as well, and I think they're focusing on getting it out of the door first for iOS, and then with a plan for it to then be VST and it being, but they're trying
Android.
to
Maybe.
They're trying to really take the time to get it right. It's meant to be incredibly spontaneous and fun kind of way of working. That's its goal. Tim is all about spontaneity. I mean, I urge everybody to check out the little features that we did with him. It was really good. I got to play with him, and he was I was playing stuff in, and he was instantly taking what I was doing and turning it into stuff, And the idea of doing that with people from wherever, it is a really interesting thing. Do you remember a few years back when Ohm Studio launched from Ohm Force, which had quite an interesting idea of an interactive DAW, and that had, so where you could actually see edits going on kind of in real time in front of you. I'm not sure quite how well that took on. I mean, the problem I thought that they had with Ohm Force was it was kind of wanting you to learn a whole new DAW platform when most people are quite happy in the platforms that they're working on. I think this is a little bit different in the fact that they're trying to make it like a VST, something that you can insert into your existing platform.
Well, that would be interesting if you could actually incorporate that would be a way to, so somebody on their phone could be interacting real time with your actual studio session. That's an
So it's a very ambitious plan, but I mean, from what I've seen so far, it does look really, really good. I'm going to be getting stuck into it pretty soon on the beta, and I will definitely be talking about it more in the near future as well, because this is something that I am super interested in. And God, sorry, just to hark back to what the week away that I've just had with Ben at Synth Reactor, but the spirit of collaboration is it's so good. I mean, like take for instance the Moog One and the bass, and I've never played with Once Upon a Synth before, but we were making music together straight away, and just and to be able to have that very instant reaction, interaction, to find some way to do that through software, it is. Oh God! I mean, as I say, many attempts at it. Maybe this one will get it right. I'm kind of rooting for it. I think Tim Exile is such a smart cookie, and some of the people he's got working on this are, very, very, very cool people. So with experience, So I think that experience is the thing that I think gives this an edge, really.
I wonder if this is kind of becoming. I went to a thing at the weekend actually. I was going to plug it. It's in Frome. It's called Frome Breeze Block Beats, and it's just in the basement of a little church in Frome, which is local to where I am. And basically, people just show up and on the night, and they'll just do a 20-minute set. It's kind of a bit like what we did at Sonic, but it's completely sort of random. And I was thinking, I'd like to do that. But I was thinking, maybe I need to get into a looper, because I like the idea of a synth and a looper. And this sort of thing makes it a bit simpler. I know the simplicity of it. I mean, I'm not sure about having it on my phone. That's the thing. I like the idea of maybe plugging a synth into it and inputting that so that it could then be used by someone who is controlling it. Ben, I don't know whether I want to be making music on a phone, particularly personally.
Yeah, working in up until more recently, working as a music lecturer in college, sort of 16 plus here in the UK. I think this would work incredibly well, and I actually think the students, at least the ones I had in the classes that I was taking, they'd probably engage way more than a DAW. You know, we had just a suite of iMacs with Logic on or whatever program they were using. Funnily, and completely opposite for us for the music making process, I think they would engage more with the phone. Which should be interesting to see if that's the case. Actually, I like the idea for quick and quirkiness, a bit like Pocket Opera. I love the PO12, the original drum pocket operator, for just quick little beats. And I find I make lots of loops with it that I record and then kind of build up a custom sample pack almost for a specific project or something. I don't find I take them as seriously though. And I think the phone would fit into that category for me, that I don't know how serious I'd be. But that said, if it inspired an idea, sending a loop off to a singer or someone you're working with, and that comes back, that might be the thing that makes me fire up the DAW and try it. I agree though, once it's in plugin form, if it becomes a really quick, like you can seriously have an evening where you are collaborating with someone for a few hours and the back and forth is really seamless between the two, that's really exciting.
It is. I mean, I wonder if it appeals to the nature in us. You know, we've all been there. I mean, I've told the story, I'm sure we all have, where, you know, we're going on holiday or we're going to do something, or we invest in equipment or workflow because we think somehow this creative output needs somewhere to go when we're not in our studios. And so therefore, you know, if we've got something that will capture it, somehow it'll mean that we won't waste any ideas, and and then ultimately you either never use it or you're off when you're doing that. You're not actually thinking about that sort of thing. So it's actually better that you don't have it with you, because it's, you know, you're not working at the moment. So I don't know.
So I think if they get the social media kind of implementation, you know, what I mean by that, the chat style interface, right? You know, and well, again, you know, a lot of the YouTubers from last week were all invited into a Discord chat channel. Discord is like a little you know, chat app, I suppose. It's become popular I think it was developed more for gamers. But now we've seen loads of activity on this Discord between the different YouTubers. Now, if we were doing that inside of Endless, like chatting, using Endless as the platform for chatting, the fact that you could chat and jam.
Just stick that's an interesting thought. Yeah.
So then you think, ooh, and just so even if you were just kind of using it just to sort of say, oh, I've just had, you know, I've just patched this sound together. Have a listen, and you do it in the and then someone goes, oh yeah, that's great, and then put something over the top of it, and it's like a kind of organic development. I think it's really, really interesting. I really do.
Yeah, I was really excited about a week ago. I think it was Isotonic that posted it, but I don't know if it was them that developed it. It was a Max for Live device that was just a text notepad that just perfectly sat within the device window at the bottom of Ableton Live. And I love that. Logic's had a notepad feature, and I think Cubase probably has for some time.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely, just, you know, between, say, the beat repeat and the auto filter, you give someone a little note. Don't forget that I mentioned with this needs tweaking or re-record that loop or whatever it is. I think it's really useful generally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know, Rich. I mean, you know, you have a mobile system. I know you take your Roly, or have taken your Roly out with you, you know, for that reason. I mean, but that's a bit more of a self-contained, already existing workflow, I suppose. I mean, but there is almost a desire for us to want to be able to have creative output on tap without having to sort of go, rather than, you know, it's more advanced than just the dictaphone, but something that you could then use. You know, we feel we should, but is that right? I suppose.
Why not?
Yeah, I suppose.
Why not? I mean, unless you don't want to carry it, but I mean, pretty much any of these devices would do at this point for this sort of thing. And depending on the level of polish that you're after and how many you want to carry along and microphones and such, why not?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Record stuff. People do.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that bit in the in the event that Gaz and Ben attended last week, where somebody was about to run outside to some industrial shop they'd found to start sampling things. I think Gaz mentioned it, that there was going to be some feeding of a DJ with these industrial samples. I love that idea. I just love the spirit of it. Let's go bang on stuff and see what happens. I love that. Like bring some mallets, maybe a violin bow, see what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, it feels like we're kind of we're at a juncture where it might be wise to start. I've got to go and find out how much dust is in my house, I think, because that's going to be a bit of a challenge. Because we currently now we only have one functioning bedroom now, and that's my daughter's. So I don't exactly know where me and Jane are going to sleep tonight. It might have to be somewhere else, but I will find that out. But I want to say thank you very much for joining us and coming back to kick off the Sonic Talk process again after our rather unfortunate break. I want to say thank you very much to everybody for that. And before we go, I quickly say if you want to enter the competition to win iZotope, we're looking for the hashtag edit and repair audio. And the hashtag, excuse me, that's probably the dust call, and the hashtag RX7 to @SonicState and @iZotope Inc. Anyway, that's it for this week. I want to say thanks very much, Rich, for joining us. Been a pleasure to have you. I know you're probably in and out of the country, so yeah, good to sync up that way. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, the pleasure was mine. Thank you, guys.
And also, Mr. Div Kid, Ben Wilson, thank you. I guess you've got more content coming on your channel, pretty sharpish, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something with that spice really quick so that I can pledge on it and know that I'll get one, hopefully. Promote the campaign, suit myself, very selfish. And yeah, do loads of modular stuff coming up. Our live stream on Sunday at 8 p.m. with many of the YouTubers that were at the Synth Reactor event. If people want to join us and chat about that.
Cool. And also, Gaz, thank you very much for joining us as well. I think someone's trying to get in touch with me. There may be an emergency.
Oh, just sort of say very quickly, check out the Look Mum No Computer YouTube channel because one of the videos there that I was involved in was amazing, where they took an 8,000 euro Neumann binaural, the head, mounted it on a record deck, took it into the middle of the synth room in the shop itself, where there was about 50 different synthesizers all plugged into monitors, and we just went around gaffering notes down to make a massive drone, and then span the head on the turntable, and you can listen.
Oh, that sounds great. I will. I really am going to have to go. There's obviously an emergency happening.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure. Bye. We'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye-bye.